So I've been around Beth Jacob basically my whole life, and I've seen a very interesting pattern here, which is that the synagogue creates its own problems. It creates a need, somehow the need gets filled. As soon as the need is filled, it brings with it new challenges, and a perfect example of that would be education.
2 years after I got here, it was clear that the community needed a day school, more than just Sunday school and a couple hours a week after that. Through the instigation of the shul, we got others involved as well, and the community started a day school, a Hebrew Academy. Perhaps 8 or 10 years after that, Beth Jacob was instrumental in founding the Yeshiva High School, which was an astonishing feat for a small number of people. And it was definitely the hand of God helping us all the way.
There was a period of time when I served as an interim senior rabbi when my father took a sabbatical. And during that time I became keenly aware of the limitations that a pulpit rabbi has in terms of adult education and in terms of outreach. And so we came up with the idea of actually fielding a team of rabbis who are living and breathing and teaching Torah. And that was the beginning of the Atlanta Scholars Kollel.
In the 25 years we have been here, it has been an absolute magnificent blossoming of Jewish awareness, Jewish identity, Jewish pride, of which we feel very much a part of.
I was getting involved with the Kollel in some of their classes, and with Rabbi Silverman's beginner service that was held here at Beth Jacob. And I moved to Toco Hills in 1993.
I grew up here. I was born and raised in this shul. It's much larger than it was when I grew up here. There's always new families moving in. It's so hard to keep up with who's in and who's moving in and who's coming in new.
I grew up in the Metro Atlanta community in Tucker. Even though close by, I still didn't have much connection to the Beth Jacob community.
I had been here for Shabbos 2 times before I was even married, and my wife had a couple similar experiences before I knew her.
We came to visit Atlanta for the first time, Martin Luther King weekend of 2005. It was 20 degrees. I thought I was coming someplace warm. I did come someplace warm.
It is a warm, loving environment, and I feel like Beth Jacob is the place where you can come as you are.
People were nice and people wanted to get to know you, but at the same time there was also substantial opportunity for learning, and there were substantial community resources that were here already.
I was amazed by a community that was very together, very unified, even though one size did not fit all.
The very first time I davened in Beth Jacob, it brought me to tears. I remember the Torah being carried to the Ark, and the congregation was singing Eitz Chaim, and I just felt the beauty, the purity, the earnestness of the people, and it just made me cry.
To be able to sit in shul with the diversity of people, of congregants, all under one roof, and not just tolerating being under one roof, but enjoying being under one roof with all types of people, respecting one another. It left a really strong impression on us, enough so for us to come and move here. I think that message is getting out there because the community has just exploded in the last 10 years.
There's a lot more diversity in the community, which I think is a great thing.
And there's lots of classes.
Lots of classes.
Lots of new schools. Lots of new restaurants.
It's hard to find a house that doesn't belong to someone who is a member of an Orthodox synagogue in our neighborhood.
As a realtor, I get calls from New York, California, Florida. People want to be here. They want to be part of this community.
Just the density, the human density of the engagement in the Orthodox community here has been phenomenal.
As the community grows, diverse needs appear. When this building was built, there were very, very few people who demanded a mikveh. And fast forward 30 or 40 years, and thank God hundreds of people now use the mikveh. This is the same thing with the Kashrus Commission. The Eruv is a response to the fact that you actually have people who want to be in shul and who have young children, and they want to get here with their strollers. Similarly with Yad L'Yad. As the community grows, diverse needs appear, Yad L'Yad meets a very, very special need that any community has got to take responsibility for.
Yad L'Yad really started as kind of a grassroots effort through Mrs. Shani Posen, who is a former Beth Jacob member. All of the heads of Yad L'Yad, from Mrs. Rosenbaum, Allah Shalom, to Cindy Steele, Allah Shalom, to Mrs. Pransky, have all been Beth Jacob members. Mrs. Freundlich is on the board of the Hachnasas Kala Fund, and Rabbi Freundlich led the charge to raise $10,000 in an anonymous matching grant for Yad L'Yad. And I think that was a huge success and a very quick one, and one of the kind of a great example of partnership between Yad L'Yad and the Shul, specifically focusing on the Freundlichs, and it really wouldn't have happened without him.
The Toco Hills community has really grown, not only in terms of numbers, but in terms of the amount of people that are aware of the various mitzvahs, shatnez, tefillin, mezuzahs, and in general just an overall awareness of observance and growth in Torah.
You can imagine what goes through my mind from remembering that we barely had 1 million on Shabbos when I started, and now we have several services on Shabbos morning. There's a lot of minyanim, and they're all well attended.
The first minyan we have is at 8 o'clock. That's for early risers and people that want to complete their davening relatively early. There's the 8:45 minyan, which is upstairs. That's the more traditional one that's been around since the shul's been around. There's also a 9 o'clock minyan that Rabbi Freundlich leads. There's also a youth minyan or a teen minyan that has been very, very successful.
The teen minyan is the best minyan in Atlanta, Georgia. We start last, we end first. The air conditioning always works, and the cholent is the best. I come to the shul sometimes at very strange hours to make the cholent or to deliver some of the ingredients. It is rare that I'm here by myself. Rabbi Freundlich is here preparing, looking up something, cleaning up, or just making sure things are functioning. I meet him in the kitchen sometimes, Friday afternoon, making the cholent. He's on the phone, holding a sefer, or always doing something active to make sure things are going well.
He's helped us also with sisterhood on so many fronts. Whenever we've had to use the kitchen for a food or a cooking event, he's made himself available to check us in, be a mashgiach, to keep it simple.
Recently, even with his busy schedule, a bunch of women approached him that they felt there was no advanced learning opportunities for women with seminary educations and backgrounds in the community. So now on Tuesday nights, he has a class that's half parsha, half halacha, that he gives for the women in the community. And he also does it on Wednesday afternoons, specifically to cater to the fact that this is something that they wanted, and they asked for it, and he delivered with it.
Because Morel says it, and we'll read his words inside.
Chatzkel is my second cousin. To me, he's still Josh. He's an amazing person. He's done so much for this community, and it's been amazing for me to kind of watch that happen, because I remember him from when he was a little boy and when he used to chase me around my grandmother's basement, you know, in these wicked games of tag and sardines. I don't think I would have ever thought that Josh would have been the rabbi of a community one day. A doctor, a lawyer, an accountant. He was always very bright. I thought he'd go far, but I don't think I ever imagined him as a rabbi.
Josh, or Chatzkel, or Rabbi Freundlich, and I were in yeshiva together in Baltimore, in Ner Israel. And he was invited down to be part of the kollel that was brought down to help formulate Or Yisrael.
Rabbi Freundlich and his wife came down originally as part of Or Yisrael kollel. I think that was for about 2 years. That position ended, and the position for assistant rabbi started, and he applied among many candidates, and he was the one that won.
Rabbi Y was a very humble assistant rabbi. I think he spent a lot of time learning, listening to people, trying to understand how the shul worked, how the rabbi worked, how the membership worked, and bringing his skill set wherever he could to bear.
He's been, I would say, I think, a bridge to the younger folks, and that's a very important group to Beth Jacob.
One of the best parts of having Rifki and Rabbi Y here in this community is getting the chance to watch them raise their own children. Obviously, they're both expert parents. Rabbi Y teaches fantastic parenting classes and does videos parenting through the Parsha, which are really extraordinary. But it's more than that. Rifki always knows exactly what to say, and Rabbi Y, both of them, they practice what they preach.
one thing that I so appreciate that the Freundlichs have done is really figured out a way to optimize every experience for young families. So a Shabbos lunch that has 150 people, there's chicken nuggets and there's pasta and there's cucumber slices so that they know the kids can be happy. And on the holidays, there's an early program on Simchas Torah so that the kids can have the experience and eat dinner here and then be home and in pajamas and in bed on time. And it's those things that make Beth Jacob and make the Freundlichs really special, because the shul that we attended in New York, that never would have happened.
Nothing's off limits with them when it comes to enhancing the spirituality, the fun connected to any holiday in this community. And even when he had to take a running jump to get into the pants that I made him for the perm costume when it was spray painted gold and they literally could stand up by himself, he was such a sport about it. He did it. Both him and Rabbi Thalman were crunching and couldn't barely move a single part of their body. Last year, we did Mexican. We were the Beth Jacob of Taco Hills, and we had a mariachi band at the Suda, and the rabbis were dressed up as our sombrero-clad rabbis of Taco Hills.
One of the key aspects of the Freundlich touch is the joy of teaching, the creativity in teaching, and the personal relationship that's forged through the teaching. Rabbi Freundlich not only presents the material well and clearly and in an original way, but he's very connected to his students. The same with Rivki. I mean, Rivki's personality, her charm, her joy is apparent to everybody.
Look in particular at Pasuk Bet and Pasuk Gimel and Pasuk Dalet.
I had Mrs. Freundlich for Chumash 2 years in a row for both 9th and 10th grade. And she made each and every one of us feel like we were amazing Torah scholars.
The students just really get excited when they see that Mrs. Freundlich is on their schedule. She has certainly at least 15 groupie followers who are huge fans of hers and want to take anything that she offers.
She really takes the time with her students outside of the classroom, and she'll always rearrange her schedule to have lunch with us, and we had lunch study groups all the time last year, and she still will even now when I'm not her student.
How is it that we ended up with this body that we call Ashkenazim and Sephardim?
This is the third year of a program he's had called Tanakh B'Shana, and it's had other titles since that time, but basically 100 people get together and hear lectures from different speakers.
What an amazing opportunity we've had to not only learn from him, but to learn from many of the other rabbis that he's brought in to teach.
Rabbi Y comes to our Shabbos party every week. He tells stories of Dov the bear and Aryeh the lion. The children are so excited to help predict what the outcome will be.
Dov the bear got a brand new, shiny, red soccer ball. Oh. Yes.
Rivki Freundlich has been a dedicated preschool parent. She has constantly been involved and has been the face of BJPG, our Beth Jacob Preschool Parents Group. She has led numerous events, fundraisers. She's the one who shows the teachers the appreciation in such a special way, and we have been so privileged to have her here.
I first met Rivki Freundlich at a Sisterhood Silver Tea about a month after I arrived in Atlanta. We both came in with little babies, and she was sweet and friendly.
I can't remember when I first met Rivki. I think it was at a relative's wedding, and I met her as Chatzkol's Kala. And I remember her being very young, not that I was so old myself, and just so energetic and bubbly and sweet and kind. I was right on with all those things because she turned out to be all that and more.
I was connected with Rivki before we even moved here. Somebody had told me, if you have questions about anything, contact Rivki. I didn't even know she was the Rebbitzin. I just knew she was an email address and she was somebody who was going to be able to help me with anything. And I emailed her. I think I was looking for a job and we were looking for a place to live and we were looking for schooling, and she was so helpful, and we never even met. And she gave me tons of advice and just said, call me anytime. any time of day, and when you move here, I want to get together. And she followed up on that and has been an incredible resource ever since. And likewise, Rabbi Freundlich is somebody that we can ask questions to, and we can learn with, and we can learn from. And they've welcomed us into their home and into their shul, and they're just such extraordinary people.
You know, over the years working with Rabbi Freundlich, I've seen an evolution. And the evolution is quite fascinating to me because he has evolved and actually evolved the position based on the needs that have evolved around him. The synagogue has experienced a tremendous influx of younger families over the past couple of years. And Rabbi Y and Rivki have really risen to the occasion and have expressed this synagogue's continued determination to meet the needs that it actually creates.
As a board member of the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta, I want to congratulate and thank our honorees, the Freundlichs, for being a part of this community and volunteering their time, and thank Beth Jacob for partnering with the Jewish Federation in many wonderful programs.
Beth Jacob thinks big. It has big visions, it has a big congregation, but the things that make a difference, the things that move a congregation, that move a community, are the people that can zero in on the needs of each and every individual. Freundlichs have a phenomenal and talented way of touching the neshamas, the souls of so many of the individuals that make up the big vision, congregation, and our community.
We all look to them as role models for spiritual guidance, but most importantly, for their friendship.
I mean, one of my favorite memories, and typical Rivki memories, is when my wife was out of town and my son was sick, rushed over immediately with a bowl of chicken soup. And not just a bowl of chicken soup, but chicken soup and this, and here's some more food. Want to make sure you're all looked after.
They touch so many people across the entire spectrum of Judaism. They really give people the sense that they're really your best friends, even when they have a million best friends.
Our daughter Eden was born on the exact same day, within just a few hours, of Rena Leah Freundlich. And so those two girls share a very special bond. We had the pleasure of being kvaters for Shai Meir Freundlich. Shortly after Shai Meir's bris, we were blessed to have another daughter of our own, who actually is also named Shai, which really has nothing to do with Shai Meir, but a very cute coincidence.
I can't imagine anybody else deserving this honor more than the Freundlichs because of everything that they pour into this community, not only to the shul, but also to the school, and I'm sure to every other institution. And they give so much, and like any rabbi and rebbitzin, probably get a lot less thanks than they should.
And what's even more fabulous about him is he does all of that without missing a Braves score, a Hawks score, or a Falcons score.
The Freundlichs and the Feldmans and the entire Beth Jacob community, we at the Federation look forward to another 50+ years of partnering together.
There are few places in the country where there's a Jewish community and the surrounding environment is really a nice, wholesome one where people are actually nice to each other and they like each other and interact with each other. I think in Atlanta that's not just talked about, that's actually done.
If you're watching this and you've never been to Beth Jacob, you have to come, because don't believe what other people tell you. Walk in, you'll have a good time.
One thing that's really exciting about leading the synagogue is that there's no way of knowing what's coming next. There's always a need that can't be anticipated. This synagogue is all about meeting those needs and creating a new problem. Those new problems will bring us closer to each other and closer to God. That's what I love about this shul.